Hello friends, welcome back to DCS World. In today's video, I'm checking out BriefingRoom, which is a really cool third-party application that generates random missions for you. This video ended up being quite long because I decided to leave the main flight mostly unedited, but I'm going to add some timestamps to the description so that you guys can skip around a little bit more easily if you would like. Please let me know what you guys think of this longer style video, and I hope you all enjoy. Alright, so this is the BriefingRoom application. I've already gone ahead and generated the demonstration mission that I'm going to be flying today, but I just wanted to quickly show you guys what the actual application looks like and sort of quickly talk about the parameters that I use to set up this mission. This isn't meant to be a tutorial, so I'm just going to gloss over this very quickly. It's very straightforward. You should be able to figure out how to set it up on your own. Really, it's not that difficult. So right here in the middle of the screen, you can see the briefing that was generated based off of these parameters over here on the left-hand side. So you've got like a randomly generated mission name, a description. If you want, you can type in values for this if you want to set it yourself, or you can just leave it blank for it to be automatically generated, which is what I've done here. You can set up the context, like the red and blue coalitions, which coalition the player is assigned to. You can set up the environment, like the weather, time of day, all of that stuff. Again, very straightforward. Objectives, how many objectives you want to have generated, how far away they are, the objective type that you want to be generated. At the moment, you can only generate one type of objective for the mission, but I think they're working on making that a little bit more advanced in future updates, but I'm not 100% sure. So if we look at this list real quick here, you can see all of the different things that you can generate missions for in the current version of BriefingRoom. So you've got stuff like your anti-ship strike, you've got your close air support, your combat air patrol, deep strike, interdiction, which is the default, and what I'm going to be doing today in this demonstration mission, recon, search and destroy, as well as all this other stuff that I didn't even mention. So you can pretty much do anything that you would reasonably expect to do in a simple DCS mission. So lots of options here, lots of fun to be had with this program. Opposition, this is really just setting up how difficult you want the AI, like the enemy AI, to be in the mission. By default, all of these are set to random, but by the nature of it being random, it can be very hit or miss. So it might be a very simple mission with like very little enemy opposition, or you could be flying into Sam City and really have no chance in hell of actually completing your mission. So I suggest going through and setting these to something comparable to your skill level and the challenge that you want. For this, I'm just going to set everything about middle of the road to average. Again, I don't want this mission to be too difficult, but I also don't want it to be too boring. Over here in the player section, you can determine how strong you want the player faction to be. So whether or not you want some AI cap escorts to spawn in or an AI CAD escort. By default, these are set to 0. If you're flying by yourself, I highly recommend adding at least a couple AI planes in here just to help you out. Because you're likely going to be flying over some SAM sites or have some AI fighters spawn in that are going to come try to intercept you. So it's good to have a little bit of backup at least to help you out here. You can choose the AI skill level for your faction, how strong you want the air defense network to be. There's some carrier settings in here, start location. We're going to start on the runway. There's also hot and cold starts available. There are some multiplayer settings in here. I've only played single player, so I can't really speak to how well the multiplayer stuff works, so I'm just going to leave that alone. We're going to be flying an FA-18C Hornet, 0 wingmen. You can add wingmen. By default, there is set to 1, but I don't really like AI wingmen in DCS, so I removed it. I'm just going to fly this by myself today. And then finally, in the theater settings down here, we're going to be flying on the Caucasus map, and we're going to be taking off from Kataisi. All right, so let's quickly go over the actual briefing that was generated here. You've got some nice flavor text in here from the description. You've got a nice little list of your tasks. If you set up multiple objectives, they would show up in here as well. There's also some useful information, like there's going to be a JTAC available with the laser code, and it uses the default 1688 laser code. That lets you know air defense units are considered targets of opportunity but do not have to be destroyed, so our primary target are the APCs. We can also ask the JTAC on site to mark with smoke grenades, and we can also ask the JTAC to transmit GPS/MGRS coordinates. Here we can see the different flight groups that have been generated. At the top we've got our player flight group, which is the Hornet I'm flying. It generated a couple F-14s for Cap Escort, a couple Hornets for SEAD, some tankers, and an AWACS. We can also see their radio frequencies and any remarks here, like TACAN for the tankers. We got our airbase information here. We didn't spawn in any carriers, so this is blank. And then we've got a flight plan. So we can see that we are going to fly 96 nautical miles to our target waypoint. And then we've got another 96 miles to fly back to land after we're done. Okay, I think that about covers the basics of the application itself. Like I said, it's very straightforward. It's very easy to set up, but it's also a very powerful little tool. And you can generate a lot of really cool, fun missions with it. And I've been having a lot of fun playing around with it over the last few days. So let's go ahead and get into the game and actually fly this mission that I've generated. Okay, so I've got the mission loaded up in DCS here. And as you can see, the briefing in game matches the information that the application was showing. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, the first thing that I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to go to the F10 options in the comm menu, and I'm going to ask for the mission status.
Command, require update on mission status. Mission is still in progress.
Okay, so now we can see here at the top of the screen that in order to complete our objective, we have to destroy the 3 APCs near the waypoint marker. And let's actually take a look at the F10 map here real quick. So we can see we're starting at Kataisi Airport. We've got some friendly SAMs and ground units. Let's see. Okay, so the enemy stuff has been spawned all the way up here by Gudada. And it looks like we've got some AAA and some SA-19 and SA-13 sites. Let's see. Okay, so this looks like these are the 3 APCs we actually have to destroy. There's also a AAA vehicle there and a Shilka. So there's some defenses, but it's nothing that should be too much of a problem for us. I'm also not seeing any AI fighters that have spawned on mission start, but surely they will spawn once we get into the air. You'll also notice that our escort flights haven't spawned in yet, but as soon as we take off, those will spawn in as well. So, without talking too much more, let's actually get off the ground and start flying towards our objective. So let's see, let's set up the SA down here. Turn on the data link, set up bingo fuel. I like to do about 4,000 pounds. That's usually good enough for me. It is a little bit of a flight, so we have to be a little bit careful of our fuel consumption. Let's turn down the volume of the RWR a little bit, because that can be quite loud in these videos. Turn on the RWR, set our dispensers to bypass, and oh yeah, we need to set our altimeter. I know that at Kataisi this should be set to about 10 feet above sea level. So there we go, that gets us to 29.60. We have radar, altimeter's already set up, radar's on. I think that's about everything. Oh yeah, let's set our second radio to 251 because I know that that is the frequency for the AWACS. And yeah, I think we're about ready for takeoff. So let's get rolling. Oh, let's actually set up our waypoint navigation so I know where we're going. Okay, rotate. Gear up, flaps up. And let's turn in towards the waypoint marker.
Magic 1-1 on station at bullseye 087 for 60 at 21,000.
So now we can hear our AI flights have spawned in. And they're going to start heading towards the enemy as well to escort us.
1-1 on station at bullseye 079 for 30 at 19,000. Texaco 1-1 on station at Bulls 093 for 24 at 20,000.
Okay, we're flying towards our waypoint marker now. I'm going to go for about an 8-degree climb here. Let's set attitude hold on the autopilot. And let's go ahead and get our air-to-ground stuff set up for our strike. So I'm just using the default weapon loadout for the Hornet for the interdiction mission on here, which is going to give us 4 laser-guided bombs, as well as an IR and a laser-guided Maverick. So I'm going to select my laser-guided bombs here. Let's set our fuse to instant. And then we need to set up our laser code because we're going to be using the JTAC to laze the targets for us because we don't have our own targeting pod. So the laser code is 1688.
Chevy 1-1, Magic 1-1, Bra 270 for 100 at 18,000, flanking.
Okay, and let's also set up the laser code for the Maverick. I'm not expecting to use it, but I just want to get it set up ahead of time anyway, so I don't have to worry about it later. Okay, let's see, we're at 14,000 feet. I'm looking to get to about somewhere between 20 and 25,000 feet. Let's actually give a little bit more throttle here. I do have to be a little conscious of my fuel. I don't want to use too much fuel getting to the location, just in case I need my burners to evade SAMs or AI fighters that might interdict me on my way over there, or intercept me rather. Also, I like to go ahead and set up my jettison for my center tank ahead of time, just so that all I have to do is go down here and hit the jettison button when I'm ready to do that. Which should be before we even get there, because we just have the center tank, so we don't have that much external fuel. And the tank will just be weighing us down a little bit anyways. Okay, so at this point we're pretty much all set up. Let's actually get the RWR over here on my right screen. Yeah, so we're still over 70 nautical miles away. We're actually drifting a little bit from our waypoint, but that's okay. We're still going in the same general direction. So right now I'm just going to try to get up to altitude. We're at 20,000 feet now. I think I'm going to go for about 25,000 feet. Should be pretty good. It should keep us well out of the range of the AAA and the SAM sites that are over there. So really, I'm mostly worried about enemy fighters, which in fact, let's zoom out here a little bit. Yeah, so we don't have any on the data link yet, which is a good sign. Definitely want to keep an eye down here.
11, Magic 11, Bra 004, 490 at 22,000 knots.
Okay, so that...
Chevy 11, Magic 11, Bra 004, 490 at 22,000 knots.
Yeah, so those callouts from the AWACS are telling me that there are 2 enemy bandits coming from 004, which is roughly north, at 90 miles away. So they're just outside of this ring here, because we're looking at an 80-mile scale. So they're going to be coming in and flying towards me from this direction. And it looks like our AI fighters are already starting to fly over towards that intercept. And ooh, looks like we are above my target altitude, but that's fine. 26,000 feet is perfectly reasonable for what I'm doing. Let's set our autopilot to altitude hold. Yeah, there we go. I can see this 2 ship of bandits here on my SA page coming in from the north. I'll have to keep an eye out for them just in case they do make it close enough to me. My cap escort should move to intercept them and hopefully take them out before they become a problem. Oh, I'm using my afterburner and I do not mean to. That's wasting some fuel. Okay, so I've used all the fuel in my drop tank, so let's drop the bag. There we go. Wait. I always forget this. I need to turn on my master arm to drop my bags. There we go. Yeah, we'll just leave that unarmed. That'll be fine. Ooh, this is a little bit more difficult when I'm trying to commentate my way through it. Okay, so we're about 50 miles away from the waypoint now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my F10 menu again, and we're going to go into the objective here. And we have some options here from the JTAC. Now this isn't the default DCS JTAC stuff. This is like its own JTAC script, so there isn't like a predator thing flying around the mission site or anything like that. And it's a simplified form of the JTAC. So if you've used the DCS JTAC before, you'll know what I'm talking about. I really like the way it works in this mission. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say mark the target with smoke.
I have no visual. Pop a smoke grenade on target. Affirm. Target marked with smoke.
And I'm just going to zoom in here. And I don't know if you can see this in the video, but there's some red smoke just over here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my HUD to my sensor of interest. I'm going to designate. And then I'm going to move the marker over to the smoke. And so this will give me targeting information for dropping my bombs. Okay, let's zoom out. And now I'm going to move my sensor of interest back down to my situational awareness screen. And now that I'm looking down here, there's also another bandit coming in here from the west. And okay, so we're getting locked up by a MiG-29 from the north. I'm not going to worry about that because we have one of our cap flights moving to intercept. Although it's going to be a 2v1, so I'm not going to be surprised if our friendly flight gets shot down. Okay, let's line up a little bit better on target here. Okay, so I want to keep an eye on what's going on over here, because if I lose my allied fighter over there, those 2 enemy fighters are going to be a problem for me. Okay, we're about 30 miles out now. Oh good, so our allied flights have hit one of the enemy bandits. That's one less enemy to worry about for now. Okay, but what I'm doing now is I'm going to go into my F10 menu, and I'm going to tell the JTAC to designate the
Can you
target with a
paint the
laser.
target for me? Affirm. Laser on. Painting the target now.
Okay, so now that the JTAC is painting the target with a laser, all I have to do is fly to the target and drop the bomb on the queue, and then the JTAC laser will guide it into the target. We still got a little bit of time, so we're a little over 20 nautical miles out.
Splashed 1.
And it actually looks like our friendly fighter took out both of those bandits, which that is pretty unusual. Most of the time that I see an allied flight go against two AI fighters, usually the allied singleton gets killed. Okay, so now we're getting a countdown here for when I need to drop my bomb. About 85 seconds. Oh man, I'm not paying attention at all. Hold on. Zoom in here. Okay, so we've got the enemy bandit somewhere over here. Okay, it looks like he's over there. I don't know if you guys can see that dot there. Actually, is that the enemy or is that the friendly? Either way, I might be getting killed soon because he's flying towards me. And honestly, I should probably break away and cancel my bombing run here. But we're 30 seconds out, and I'm just going to take the risk and hope that my allied fly... Oh no, there's the enemy right there. Okay, so it doesn't look like he's flying towards me. Yeah, we've got to merge. Okay. Oh yeah, I am about to get killed. I didn't get a warning, so that was an IR missile, so I think I just survived it at the last second there. Okay, so let's actually switch to air-to-air. Switch to my sidewinders. And splash. Ooh, something else just shot right by me too. Okay. Well, I really lucked out there. I was not paying attention because I was trying to commentate. And I almost got killed. But hopefully that makes for some good entertainment here.
Splashed 1.
Okay, now I need a second to get my bearings back. Let's switch back to air-to-ground mode. Switch this back to SA, EW. Okay. Do I still have... Okay, I think I still have my target point designated at my objective location. I can actually turn on my HMD to sort of get a better idea. Okay, yeah, that looks about right. The smoke ran out. So what I can do here is I can go back and ask the JTAC to smoke the target again.
I have no visual. Pop a smoke grenade on target. Affirm. Target marked with smoke.
Okay, there we go. We see smoke. Looks like my target has drifted just a little bit. So let's readjust that. It's kind of hard to do with HMD while I have my head turned like this. Okay, that should be good enough. Zoom out. Okay, we're still doing okay on fuel. I don't see any more bandits on my SA page. Okay, so let's turn back on to target. Okay, let's just readjust that a little bit, just so it's a little bit more centered on the smoke. Okay, that should be good. Okay, let's line up nice and straight. Turn the autopilot back on to altitude hold. And just to be sure, I'm going to ask the JTAC to laze the target again.
Can you paint the target for me? Already painting the target. Check laser code.
Okay. And then I just want to double check we're armed. We have the laser code set. We have our fuse set to instant. 20 seconds. $10. And pickle. Okay, 10 seconds to impact. Let's start turning around. Oh, we're flying right over. Should be able to see the impact. There we go. Splash on the target.
Good hit on target.
Okay, I'm going to turn my HMD off now.
Pontiac 1, in from the southeast. Engaging AAA at bullseye 007-445.
Okay, and now we can see my SEAD escort is actually firing on the AAA installations nearby. Okay, now my weight distribution has changed a little bit, so I need to trim a little bit of that out for some level flight. Check my fuel. Oh yeah, I can deselect that now. Ugh, I'm flustered. I'm all over the place. It's a lot harder to fly and do live commentary than it is to, you know, not do commentary while I'm doing this. So I'm making even more mistakes than I normally do already. Okay. So now we need to go back and tell the AWACS to designate the next target.
Weapon was effective.
Pontiac 1, kill AAA at bull
Laser on. Pointing the target now. I have no visual. Pop a smoke grenade on target.
And just for good measure, I'm also going to ask them to smoke the target too.
Smoke. Check your position. You should see it.
Okay. Okay, let's turn back around towards the target. Okay, we're going to line up on the target again.
Pontiac 1, in from the southeast. Engaging AAA at bullseye 008440.
Alright, now that I'm not dealing with fighters trying to intercept me, this should go a little bit more smoothly. 30 seconds. Ten seconds. And pickle. Now I've got to trim out in the other direction. Now I'm hoping that the designation point was still close enough to where the targets are. It should be able to guide in the laser. Or that the laser should be able to guide in the bombs. Let's just make sure. There we go, another splash.
Target destroyed.
Second target down. I have a really bad habit that when I sort of turn to the side like that to look down, that I also start flying down, like towards the ground. Definitely need to practice that. Okay, so we should only have one target remaining.
Defending AAA at bullseye 00.
Still need to trim out a little bit. Oh yeah, see, now that I've lost altitude, I'm getting walked up by the AAA. It shouldn't be a problem because I should still be out of their range. But I'm going to try to gain a little bit of altitude here anyways. Okay, so let's ask the JTAC to designate the last target.
Good hit.
Kill AAA at bullseye 008440.
There was a lot of radio chatter going on there, so I didn't hear him say the laser was on, but I did see the message that the laser is on. So we should be good. Let's turn back around and go back towards the target area. Overshot the angle just a little bit there. Okay, let's turn on my altitude hold again. Just so that I can maintain some nice level flight. 30 seconds. Just double checking that everything is still good to go. Ten seconds. Pickle. This should be the last target. Okay, 10 seconds to impact. I've disabled the autopilot. Let's start turning. And let's look down and see if we can see that impact. There we go, splash. Target destroyed.
Hit on target.
There we go. I did a much better job making that turn this time.
Excellent work. Mission complete. You may return to base.
Okay, there we go. We've completed our objective. If I had set up multiple objectives in the mission generation,
Bra 201445 at 21,000 knots.
sorry, getting interrupted by the AWACS there.
Magic 11, Magic 11, Bra 202445 at 21,000 knots.
Right, so since we completed that mission, it spawned in more fighters, so that was the AWACS telling us about that. But what I was saying was, if I had generated this mission with multiple objectives, after completing the first objective, it would have just told me to move on to the next objective, and then after completing that objective, it would tell us to go home. But since we only had one objective, we're just ready to go home now. And that's pretty good because I still have a decent amount of fuel, but probably wouldn't have been enough to do a whole second objective. I also don't have the munitions to do much more bombing either. I could technically still take out a few more targets because I have the Mavericks and one more laser guided bomb, as well as my cannon if I wanted to do some strafing runs with the guns. But this video's probably already gone on quite long enough, and we still have to fly back to base and land. So, we've got 83 nautical miles until we get back home. Okay, so we are getting locked up by that MiG-29 over to the south-ish. Somewhere back over here. Looks like those might be the trails from those fighters. I'm actually zoomed in here kind of far. Okay, yeah, so those guys are actually pretty close. But my AI fighters are heading out there to deal with them for me. So, no factor. I should be able to return home safely. I've got a little bit of extra fuel, so I can probably use my burners a little bit to try to get home a little bit faster. Yeah, I know. The Master Caution was warning me about home fuel because I'm in full afterburner right now, which uses an enormous amount of fuel and would not be sustainable for the full flight home. So actually, what I can do is let's turn off air to ground mode. We can put this back into safety. If I open up the FPAS screen, I can see that at my current fuel burn I have 41 nautical miles of fuel in the tanks. But that's because we're burning 284,000 pounds, or 28,600, because this is times 100 pounds of fuel per hour. But if I drop this back to just mil power, you know, that drops considerably and our range increases considerably. And we're going quite fast now, at least for this altitude, so this should be pretty good. And it looks like our friendly fighters have taken care of those enemy bandits that spawned in. So now it's just time to sit back and enjoy the flight home.
Altitude. Altitude.
Okay, I'm under 5,000 feet. Switch to radar altimeter mode. And I'm about to enter the pattern. I'm not going to talk very much because I'm still getting used to actually doing proper landings. And I'm going to be a little bit off balance here because I still have a bomb and some Mavericks on here. And it's a little unevenly distributed, so it might be a little bit more difficult for me. So here we go. I'm going to fly into the pattern. Do a little oval around the airfield and land. And that'll be the end of the mission.
Bingo. Bingo.
Okay, that wasn't so bad. I came out a little bit low. I wanted to be about 600 feet. But that's okay. We can get a little bit more altitude here as I get to my on speed. Okay, no, still going a little bit low. This is where it gets a little bit tricky for me. Yeah, it went a little bit too high there, but it'll be okay. Oh, yeah, it went a little bit too far. But I can bring it back around. Okay, yeah, that was a pretty terrible turn into the final, but I think it's still going to be a decent landing here. Going a little bit too fast. Ooh, okay, hit the ground quite a bit harder than I intended to, but I mean, it's not my worst landing. But I've also done a lot better, too. Oh well, we made it back safely. I guess that's all that matters.